Your car is not just a lump of metal and plastic, designed to get you from your dreary house to your even drearier office. It's a living, breathing thing. Well, not literally, that would be terrifying. But it does communicate. It speaks to you not with words, but with a language of clicks, whines, occasional catastrophic bangs. Most people, of course, are completely deaf to this. They simply turn up the radio, blissfully unaware that their engine is composing a desperate mechanical opera about its impending doom. This is a catastrophic error in judgment. Like thinking a salad is a perfectly acceptable meal. You wouldn't ignore a rattling sound in your own chest, would you? So why on earth would you ignore one coming from the very heart of your machine? The key to understanding this mechanical Morse code is here: identify, act. Let's begin with one of the most common and irritating noises known to man: the squeal. This is a high-pitched, piercing shriek that usually comes from the front of the engine. It gets worse when you start the car on a cold morning. It's a sound that cuts right through your soul. If your car were a singer, this is its Mariah Carey high note, only far less welcome. This is the sound of a drive belt slipping. Close up, a cracked and worn serpentine belt, alternator, water pump, power steering. When they get old and hard, or the tensioner gets weak, they slip and scream in protest. It's the sound of rubber surrendering. Here, a shrill, continuous squeal or sharp chirps under the bonnet. Identify, almost certainly a worn or loose serpentine belt, or its cousin, the V-belt. It's the engine saying accessories aren't getting the power they need. Act. With the engine off, poke the belt. Does it feel brittle, cracked, or shiny smooth? Can you press it down more than half an inch? If so, it's past its prime. Get it replaced. Don't wait. If that belt snaps, you lose power steering, your battery stops charging, and your engine can overheat. You'll be stranded. Call a garage. Now for a more sinister sound, the hiss. A hiss from a hot engine is often something escaping under pressure. Most of the time, it's a coolant leak. A pinholed hose, a failed seal, or a leaking radiator. Hot, pressurized coolant turns to steam. Another possibility is a vacuum leak causing a rough idle. Here, a soft but persistent hiss as the engine warms. Identify: pressure escaping, coolant turning to steam, or a vacuum leak messing with the air-fuel mixture. Act. When fully cool, check the reservoir. Look for green, pink, or orange crust around hoses. Top up if needed and get a pressure test immediately. There are few sounds more alarming to a driver than a metallic knock from deep within the engine. It's a hard, rhythmic thwack that gets faster as you accelerate or climb a hill. Often it's engine knock or pinging, fuel igniting at the wrong time, creating a shockwave that rattles the piston like a tiny hammer inside your engine. Cheap, low-octane fuel in a car that wants better is a common culprit. Here, a sharp metallic pinging under acceleration or uphill. Identify: detonation knock. Act. Fill with the highest octane petrol you can find. If the noise vanishes, your car has expensive taste. If it persists, see a mechanic immediately. Persistent knock can damage pistons and cylinder walls, your engine eating itself. This is not a sound you can ignore. A deeper, heavier member of the family is rod knock, far more serious. It's a worn connecting rod bearing too much space between crankshaft and rod, producing a low clunk that worsens with RPM and load. The engine's skeleton rattling its bones, a death rattle. Act. Listen, pale, turn it off, immediately, do not pass. Go, do not collect £200, have it towed. There is no simple fix. Driving further is running on a broken leg. Damage grows exponentially. The prognosis is usually a rebuild or replacement. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you should have listened sooner. A rattle is less aggressive than a knock, but no less important. It's a light, tinny buzzing, like angry bees under your car. Often something's worked loose. The most common offender is a heat shield. Bolts rust, the shield vibrates against the exhaust or underbody, especially at certain RPM. Harmless, but it makes your car sound like a bucket of bolts. Hear a tinny rattle from underneath that changes with RPM. Identify: usually a loose heat shield. Could be trim or a failing catalytic converter. Act. With the engine cold, tap the exhaust, find the loose shield and wiggle it. Secure it with a big hose clamp or have your mechanic tack it back at your next oil change. If the rattle is inside the engine, it could be a timing chain. Get professional attention immediately. Now for a gut-wrenching noise, grinding. When changing gears in a manual, it signals the clutch isn't disengaging or the synchronizers are shot. In an automatic, it could mean catastrophic internal failure. If you hear it when turning the key, the starter isn't meshing with the flywheel. Hear harsh scraping while shifting, starting, or even in motion. Identify metal parts touching that should not. Act. Check transmission fluid if possible. Low or burnt smelling is bad. Stop driving. Tow it to a transmission specialist, not your mate Dave. Let's talk about the misfire. It's not a single sound, and it's a breakdown in rhythm. A healthy engine hums. A misfiring one is rough, uneven, shaky. It stutters and stumbles, especially at idle or when you try to accelerate. You'll feel a shudder or a whole car vibration. One or more cylinders fail to fire, like one rower stops. The boat lurches and everyone else works harder. Here, chugging, stumbling, the check engine light will likely flash. Identified an engine misfire, usually ignition, a bad spark plug or coil. Could be fuel, a clogged injector, or air, MAF or filter. Act. If you're brave, look at your spark plugs. Are they old and fouled? A flashing light means stop driving enthusiastically right now. Drive gently to the nearest garage. Driving with a serious misfire dumps fuel into the exhaust and melts the catalytic converter. A biblical bill. And now, the grand finale, a backfire, a loud bang or pop from the exhaust. Unburned fuel reaches a hot exhaust and ignites. Cool on race cars. In your hatchback, it's deeply wrong. Usually running rich or the ignition timing is off. Combustion happening outside the engine. Act. Note when it happens, then book a mechanic. Repeated backfires can damage the exhaust, muffler, and O2 sensors. So there you have it. A beginner's guide to the cacophony of automotive failure. Your car is constantly talking to you. It whines, it squeals, it knocks, it rattles. These aren't quirks to drown out with terrible music. They're vital information. Early warnings, smoke signals of a bigger problem. Ignore them and turn a £50 fix into a 4-figure bill. Here, identify, act, listen to the machine, make a sensible guess. Then do something about it. You don't need a driveway engine stripped down. Recognize your limits. Call an expert. No shame in not knowing. Think of your car as a patient. Warning light, loss of power, plume of smoke, pull over, stop, get help. A little mechanical sympathy goes a long way. It's the difference between a long, happy life with your vehicle and constant breakdowns. Turn everything off. Listen. Cherish the quiet hum. If you hear anything else, you know what to do. Don't just sit there. Act. Now, stop watching and go listen to your engine.